today we are going to paint this scene, this mountain scene. Beautiful lighting, dramatic. We're painting it on a 5x7 uh, Archer's 140-pound cold press paper. I'm mixing up some colors of the background, cerulean blue and ultramarine blue. You can see on my left hand I'm pointing out the colors of where they will be. Now here you see it's basically lemon yellow, cadmium orange. Okay, and I think there was a little bit, there it is, a little bit of yellow ochre, just to sort of neutralize. I don't want my colors to be over the top. There was a sense of neutrality in the photograph that I'm trying to recreate here. The paper towel in my left hand is really just to watch splattering so it doesn't affect the other setup painting. Okay, so now I'm adding a little bit of burnt sienna to the same wash. Okay, I'm trying to get a little deeper wash happening on that side of the sky, but still retaining some of the yellow points that are just hovering over those mountains. Here I'm mixing some purple. Now the reason for this is that I want to transition my warm tones, okay, the burnt sienna, cadmium orange, lemon yellow. If I just stuck some blue in there, what would happen? Well, I would get green, and I don't want to go green in my painting, or at least in my sky. Okay, so purple is a good transition color, and now I'm working in my blues. So they'll all mix together because at some point, even though I do not work wet into wet in my beginning stages, I add so much paint that it becomes wet into wet as I continue to work. I'm not drying anything at this point. I'm trying to get all the colors to meld together. Now, because of this this technique and because of the demonstration, I can't move my paper. As you can see, it's kind of taped down. Well, the reason for this is because I want to make sure I don't move my board around. But I also am limited to where I can move my paint. Had I not been doing a demonstration, I could just take it and move it back and forth. All right, so here, the addition of the blue. Now I'm going back over the same areas, and you'll see that I probably will be adding darker tones now. My preliminary wash is established and dried. You can see the blow dryer in the scene. Here I'm adding a little water just to get some of that sky to kind of melt together. You know, I want to try to keep these colors moving around, mixing together. In fact, I'm using the blow dryer to kind of move some of that paint around. Now the reason for this is that I want to make sure that if I go over the sky once more, this will be the third layer, that I'll be able to get these nice tones. So I think my sky is done for now. I got the intense yellow side where the sun's setting on the and you can see they're reflecting on the clouds. Here now I'm working in the general areas of the actually the general areas that are affected by the warm light that's setting sun, and really pulling out the stops. Basically, burnt sienna and cadmium orange are the main colors. I really want to try to push up as much as I can that warmth. Okay, so that's sunlight hitting, you know, the side of a mountain. And now I'm going back in and I'm adding some of the cools. Now, I still go back to the same color that I used in the sky, which was ultramarine blue and cobalt blue. Actually, cerulean blue. So it's a nice mixture right? And it does to some degree. If we use more of the cobalt actually, it reacts positively to those burnt siennas and cadmium mix, because the cerulean and cobalt blue, which is almost the same color, they're very warm. Unlike, I would not do this with the ultramarine blue. That would definitely cause a yellow, well, a greenish yellow color. So here now I'm going into my greens. I'm starting to just mass in the foreground in the photograph, and just kind of arbitrarily making different patterns. If you refer back to the photograph, you'll see that there is, there's yellows, there's some, it looked like there's probably some farming going on. So there's, the land breaks and the areas where they have the, I guess the crop markings. And just trying to get some interest in here. I don't want it one color. I want, while it's drying, or actually it's while it's wet into wet, I'm just continuing to add these colors in. I really want to get color saturation in this one, especially, I know I'm definitely exaggerating the colors in the photograph, but this whole exercise, this is about 20 minutes of painting, is really just to get the feeling, okay? And get the feeling quick. So if we go out and we use our watercolor sets outside in plein air painting, we really don't have much time. If we have an hour, that's pretty long, okay? In an hour, lights can shift considerably. Clouds obviously scatter across the sky. We can't stop them if we see a nice cloud covering. Yes, we can take some pictures, but the light effects are always fleeting. So now here I'm going back into the mountainside, and I'm getting a little bit more specific in some of the crags in the rocks, the striations in the side of the mountain, keeping it very loose, right? So I have that warm against the cool. So we have the burnt sienna, a cadmium orange mix, right next to the cerulean blue mixture, right? So we're getting like this really intense color vibration between the two, and this is what we want. We really want to push up the color effect. This is where in watercolor it gives us the opportunity to be as impressionistic as possible. Our only responsibility is to understand how to separate those colors, when to put them in, and when to keep them separate, okay? And right now I'm given the opportunity to go back and to add that blue literally right over that cadmium orange burnt sienna mix that you see on the light side of the mountains, okay? So we can only do this when the paint's dry. So if we were to be working outside doing plein air painting, this wouldn't even be a problem. If any of you have experienced plein air painting with watercolor, you know that on a nice warm day, any day above 65, your paint is going to dry, especially if you're painting in the sun. If it's not an overcast day, you're gonna experience your paintings drying very quickly. The cooler the temperature, the longer they're going to be wet, obviously. So here I'm adding green. This is sap green. Now the mixture, if I hadn't said anything, the mixture before, I was literally, you could see just by looking at the palette, I was mixing the orange color, that orange burnt sienna mixture, right, together with my, I believe I pulled up some permanent green. You can see that permanent green. And now what I'm doing is I'm going for some darks. There's this dark patch right in the foreground. I'm not sure what it is. I think it might have been a hedge, I don't know, or a building. Not quite sure what that was. I'm just adding some detail in the land. Also some of those crop markings too prior to that. So the foreground is really just a series of the same colors that we're using in the painting, which is the burnt sienna, cadmium orange, a little bit of yellow ochre, okay, and then the permanent green mixed back into that same mixture, right, to get it to be not as green. I don't want it to look, I don't want my colors to look juvenile, right? So I'm toning them down with their complementary. And here we go. This is the painting, okay? Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.